Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel. My name's FPL Phillips, or Eddie, and today I'm bringing you another edition of Eddie versus the Algorithm, the series where every week I reveal to you the Algorithm 11 that's been selected by the computer for the upcoming game week, and then I put together a team of my own to try and beat it 4 points for that specific week. So without further ado, let's have a quick recap of how me and the Algorithm got on in game week 8. So here we are then, moving into the Algorithm 11 and a quick recap of last week. And I would like you guys to tell me down below in the comments which format of video you would prefer. Do you like the segment where I go through last week's team, go in depth to all the players and the point scores and have a recap and compare the Algorithm 11? Do you want the Algorithm 11 and Eddie's 11 compared side by side? Let me know what you think is the best, but I know that some people may just want to skip through that section, just go straight to the Algorithm 11, so let me know what's best for you and what you do, so that I can tailor these videos to you guys and give you what you want to see every single week, hopefully. So with that being said, we're just going to try it out, just having a quick recap in just words. So basically, last week, what went on was we had pretty similar teams, myself and the Algorithm. I went De Bruyne over Grealish, which proved to be very, very good in terms of the scheme of things. And I also went with Laporte over Diaz, which gained me an extra 4 points, which was very nice. In total, I scored 76 points last week, which was actually quite a distance above the average score of that game week. So we did very well, and the Algorithm still did pretty well with 72 itself, but it does make it 6-3 now in the current scheme of things, with Eddie taking the victory once again. So yeah, I'm doing pretty well at the moment. Might be out of a job if I don't watch myself, but yeah, we're doing okay. And especially after going 2-0 down early on in the series, I'm very, very happy with how I've done henceforth. Right, let's have a quick delve into the Algorithm 11 for game week 9 then, which is what a lot of people are waiting for. And in goal, it's going to be Ederson. So the Man City keeper gets a slot. The 6 million man actually comes in for that Brighton away fixture, which, you know, isn't the easiest fixture on paper. I'm sure Brighton will probably play quite defensively and try to hit Man City where it hurts, but realistically, I'm not sure Brighton are going to be pushing too much. I'm sure a lot of the game will be dominated by the citizens, and so I'm pretty confident with Ederson getting a clean sheet this week, and the Algorithm 11 clearly feels the same way, putting him in goal. Obviously, we get a lot more premium goalkeepers than you see in actual FPL teams in these Algorithm 11s, which does give us quite a nice insight into, you know, how these Mendys and Edersons, even Alissons, are going to perform week in, week out, and could they actually be worth it, that extra bit of money? Mendy's providing, you know, a nailed-on Chelsea asset when a lot of almost every other defender is at risk of rotation. So, you know, it's a nice little deep dive, but I'm sure Ederson will have a very nice chance of keeping a clean sheet this week. I'm probably only Mendy would have a higher chance, but I'm sure there'll probably be Chelsea players elsewhere in this team. As we move into the defence, there you go. There's two straight off the bat. Rudiger and Azpilicueta come in for the Algorithm 11 side. So yeah, going with two of the most nailed Chelsea defenders seems a sensible way to go, especially with the bench that you can see down below me not being the strongest at all, with Brownhill, Longstaff and Sissoko making up the bench. So Rudiger and Azpilicueta, I'd probably say Rudiger is the most nailed. Now he's back and fit and obviously started in the Champions League. Azpilicueta is probably the second most nailed behind, as he can be deployed at either that right wing back or the right centre back spots. But some other interesting defensive picks. Diaz obviously is less of an interesting one. He's a very solid option once more. Going with Diaz over Cancelo, again, maybe for that factor that Diaz is very unlikely to be benched 2 weeks in a row. It would be, I don't think it's ever happened when Diaz has been benched 2 weeks in a row without injury. I'm not sure it has ever occurred. Whereas Cancelo has played 90 minutes week in, week out for club and country over a very, very long duration now. And so I'd be more worried about Cancelo getting a rest this week with Zinchenko back especially. Obviously, Zinchenko can be deployed on the left, Walker on the right, giving the Portuguese fullback a rest if need be. And then the other two defenders are Michael Keane of Everton, which is an interesting one, and then Bednarek of Southampton. So yeah, Everton, I'd say they've got a decent chance of keeping a clean sheet. A lot of the statistics show that keeping a clean sheet against Watford at home is not beyond the realms of possibility by any stretch of the imagination. And as potential clean sheets go this week, it's probably one of the highest. Going with Keane over Dean is an interesting one. Obviously, Dean's shown pretty much next to no attacking threat this season, but he does have it in the bag, whereas Keane is just more of a threat from the set pieces that Dean will most likely be delivering in a lot of cases. And then the final defender pick is Bednarek, who's a very, very interesting one when Livramento is, I think, 0.1 cheaper, right? So why on earth is the Algorithm 11 going for Bednarek, and why is his projected points for this week higher than Livramento? It's very, very interesting. I'm not sure I will be going for Bednarek myself, but we'll have to wait and see on that one, so make sure you stick around for Eddie's 11. But moving into the midfield, it's going to be Salah and Townsend. So not a lot of change. Obviously, Salah keeps his place. It's pretty much a no-brainer. No reason to explain why Salah is needed. Pretty much essential. People say that no one's essential, but this season is looking like Salah is, to be honest. And he's always a captaincy option, no matter who he's playing against. He's proven that so far this season. Performing better than any other season, I think, so far as well. Absolutely incredible. Burnley, the only team to stop him scoring. And then Townsend is more of an interesting one. I've actually got a few budget midfielders who I was eyeing up, and Townsend doesn't really fall into the top two. I think there's a few other ones who I think actually have better fixtures this week as well, and we'll get on to those. I'm sure a few of them will make their way into my team or my bench in a moment. But Townsend coming in, again, that Watford fixture is not too bad at all, and Townsend has looked very good. The core rate out injured, obviously, is between Townsend and Gray now, so that's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top and whether Townsend over Gray is the correct call for the algorithm, or over any of those other budget midfielders who I'm sure you'll be seeing in just a few moments. And then finally, rounding it off with a forward line, it's got with two premiums in there, and then Antonio, of course. So Jamie Vardy against a Brentford fixture that's not again a very, very easy fixture at all for Leicester in the grand scheme of things. Leicester have looked much better defensively and attackingly in the last 4 game weeks, and so Vardy does seem like a very good option to go for. Personally, a lot of people are considering bringing in Jamie Vardy for this week, whereas I'd like to have a look and have a potential look at whether Iheanacho could be an option. Obviously, Daka scoring 4 goals means that when he comes off the bench, it's most likely going to be Iheanacho who is substituted for Daka. But Vardy obviously provides that penalty threat as well, and with a lot of people looking for a Lukaku replacement, given his injury, yet to see Tuchel's press conference at the time of recording, then it's most likely going to be Vardy that people go for, and there's a lot of other budget strikers who are available at that price. It's mainly between Vardy and Kane in the premiums that people are considering. Whereas Ronaldo retains a place in an 11 this week. It was my 11 he was in last week, in the algorithm's 11 this week. Against home to Liverpool, I'm not sure I'll be going for him myself personally. Obviously scored another winning goal in the Champions League on Wednesday night, and so it's going to be interesting. Ronaldo is Ronaldo, of course, can score one or even more than one goal if United are on form, but that, as we know, has been quite a big if so far this season. And then Antonio rounds up the algorithm 11 with a home fixture to Tottenham, who haven't looked very strong at the back at all. They're what you'd probably call a leaky defence so far this season. So it's going to be interesting to see how West Ham and David Moyes fare against the Spurs, but I'm sure that Antonio could have a decent chance of getting a return this week, and the algorithm 11 is staying loyal to him, probably quite strongly on the basis of his statistics so far, especially in the early few game weeks of the season. Looked absolutely brilliant, and there's almost no striker that gets anywhere near him who's topping the charts for one hell of a lot of the Opta stats that you can find over at fantasyfootballfix.com. So yeah, without further ado, I've now got to go away, delve into this, see if I can rearrange a few of these players in this team, and come back with an 11 that I think is going to beat it for game week 9. So here it is then, Eddie's team to take on the algorithm for game week 9, and without further ado, let's get right into it. I've actually had to release the whole team again in stage by stage because there's been so many changes this week realistically. The formation, however, has interestingly enough stayed the same. So in goal, we have kept the same keeper, Ederson, who's a great option for reasons I've already previously mentioned. Into the defence, there is some very weird changes in personnel, but not too much changes in the actual teams. So we've still got a defender from Southampton, we've gone with Livramento instead. We've still got a defender from Man City, we've gone with Cancelo instead of Diaz. And we've also still got 2 Chelsea defenders, but I've taken some pretty big punts, and I'll explain why reasons in a minute, on James and Chilwell. And I think, at least one of them will start. I'm pretty sure. I'm really hoping at least, because, Cancelo is a slight risk as well, rotation-wise, as is another player in this team. But I have got cover, and I will explain why I've been able to go for these high-risk, hopefully high-reward picks in a moment. In midfield, we've got a midfield 2 with Salah. Instead of Townsend, we've got Kai Havertz. We've gone with him. Obviously, with Werner and Lukaku both getting injured in the Champions League on Wednesday evening, it seems a very, very sensible thing, as both injuries did seem quite serious, hopefully ruling them out, for this team's sake, for a couple of weeks. But Werner, I imagine, will be back in probably a bit of a shorter time frame than Lukaku, who did look like he'd actually potentially done a bit of ligament damage there. But as I've said, this video is being filmed before the press conferences, so we may know more by that point. Fingers crossed that afterwards there's nothing so drastically changing. You know, Werner's not made a miraculous recovery and is ready to start. So I'm taking a bit of a punt on Havertz this week, and an even bigger punt in a moment, which is why you'll figure out. And then up front, we've had a bit of change in personnel as well. Vardy retains his place in the front three, but we've taken another punt. This is the final risk on Jesus. So Jesus, Chilwell and James realistically are my three kind of punty players, I suppose. Havertz and Cancelo you could also kind of throw into that bracket as well, but we've gone with Tierney in defence instead of Michael Keane too. In terms of captains-wise, we've gone with a punt here, and we've gone with Kai Havertz. We're going all in, balls on the table with this Chelsea game at home to Norwich. So I'm really, really hoping that Havertz starts up front. I'm really, really hoping that he gets some returns. I think there's just a higher ceiling than Salah at Old Trafford. Like, you know, Man United haven't been great, but we always seem to put on a pretty decent display when it is actually Liverpool who show up. So hopefully there won't be too much drastic action going on. I have mentioned, you know, why I think that Salah can exploit that United team realistically down that right-hand side for Liverpool. And yeah, but the cover on the bench, I need to bring that in. I need to show you what is actually there in case these players who I've taken so-called risks on don't start. And we've gone with, obviously, three midfielders. Foster, Gallagher, Mbeumo and Townsend find their way into the team. Obviously, Foster won't really count because Ederson. But the midfielders, I've gone with three kind of 5 million to 6 million priced midfielders. We've got Gallagher at home to Newcastle. We've got Mbeumo at home to Leicester. And we've got Townsend, who obviously was in the Algorithm 11 as well. But he's actually a third sub. I don't fancy him as much as Gallagher or Mbeumo this week. I was very close to starting Gallagher over perhaps a Livramento, but to be honest, I think there's quite a substantial chance that he finds his way into the team anyway, so not too much either way there. But that is going to wrap it up for this week's edition of Eddie versus the Algorithm. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, feel free to smash a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the Fantasy Football Fix channel if you're new around here, and you can turn notifications on so you don't miss all our content that's coming thick and fast at you, especially our daily price change video where we bring to you all the latest in price rises and price fallers in the world of FPL. But I've been FPL Phillips. You've been absolutely amazing if you watched to this point. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best of luck for Game Week 9. Goodbye.